less and are used when one wishes to compare the scatter of one distribution with another distribution. So we have two basic types of this. So that is the coefficient of variation and the standard score or the z-score. So ang coefficient of variation po, we can compute this by getting the ratio of the standard deviation and the mean. And we have to express the value in terms of a percentage po. So the way we interpret coefficient of variation, especially if we're going to compare different distribution, is similar of how we use the standard deviation and the variances. So parang the smaller the value, the better the distribution is. So if the aspect is about the stability, consistency, and compactness of the information, so dapat mas maliit na value yung pinipili nyo. Pero kung ang focus nyo naman is about the deviations, the spread of the data, so yun po ay yung mas malaking mga value. So for the coefficient of variation of population, so that is population standard deviation divided by the population mean times 100%. And for its sample counterpart, that is a sample standard deviation divided by mean times 100%. So, dito, yung mga percentage na magka-create natin, yun po yung magsasabi kung gaano kadami na mga possible data ang nagdi-deviate. So, ibig sabihin, medyo malayo yung position ng data na yun dun sa mean na na-compute natin. So, kung, for example, we have a data of around 100, tapos yung atin pong coefficient of variation, let's say, ang naging result ay 10 or 10%. So, ibig sabihin yan, may 10% doon sa 100 na information, ang malaki ang deviation doon sa mean. So, maa-identify natin kung ilang item. Pero hindi po natin masasabi na yung item ba na yun ay mataas o mabababa. So, basta alam lang natin na may mga item na nagdi-deviate. So, take this example po. So, the foreign exchange rate is an indicator of the stability of the peso and is also an indicator of the economic performance. So, in 1992, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas put the peso on the floating rate basis. So, market forces and not government policy have determined the level of the peso seeds. So, government intervenes through BSP only when there are speculative elements in the market. So, given below are the means and standard deviations of the quarterly peso-dollar exchange rate for the periods 1989 to 1991 and 1992 to 1994. So, which of the two periods is deemed to be stable? So, for year 1990 or 1989 to 1991, ang mean score po nila ay 22.4 at ang standard deviation is 1.84. So for the period 1992 to 1994, the mean is 26.4 and a standard deviation of 15. So tingnan natin gamit ang coefficient of variation kung ano ba yung magiging value nila para makapag-conclude tayo na siguro yung 1989 or 1991 yung stable or yung 1992 to 1994 ba. So, ito yung general. Pwedeng ganito nyo na lang din isulat yung definition or yung formula for the coefficient of variation. So, CV is equivalent to standard deviation over the mean times 100%. So, if we're going to consider the values for period 1989 to 1991, so we have here 1.84 divided by 22.4 times 100%. So, paki-divide po ito, then 4 decimal places na lang po yung gamitin nun. So, ano pong value? So we have a quotient of 0.0821 times 100%. So that is 8.21% po. So for periods 1992 to 1994, so this is 1.15 over 26.4 times 100%. So paki-divide po uli.
0.0435.
Round off po tayo.
0.0436, ma'am.
Okay po. Thank you. Times 100%. So this is 4.36%. So based dun sa atin pong mga value, alin yung masasabi natin na stable yung kanilang peso dollar exchange? Aling period?
1989 to 1991.
Okay. So paano ba uli pag sinabi nating stability in terms of the standard deviation and variances? So paano natin yung madedetermine? Mas
Yung mas
stable.
bababa po pala, ma'am.
Okay. So dun sa dalawang value, alin? Period.
1992 to 1994.
Okay po. So thank you. So the period 1992 to 1994 shows a more stable peso dollar exchange rate po. So for example number 2, so two of the criteria in processing butter cookies are the weight and color development in the final stage of the oven browning. So individual pieces of cookies are scanned by spectrophotometer calibrated to reflect yellow-brown light. So the readout is expressed in percent of a standard yellow-brown reference plate, and a value of 41 is considered optimal or golden yellow. So the cookies were also weighted in grams at this stage. So the means and the standard deviation of 30 sample cookies are presented below. So which of the two quality criteria is more varied? So for the criteria color, we have a mean of 41.1 and a standard deviation of 10. For weight, a mean of 17.7 and a standard deviation of 3.2. So pag more varied ang tanong, ano dapat yung maging basis natin? Mas mababa, mas mataas na value?
Mas mataas po, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Mas mataas na value para masabi na sila ay varied or spread. So, coefficient of variation for color. So, ano po ang ating magiging solution dito? Paki-dictate po. So, yung formula natin na standard deviation over the mean. So, we have 10 over 41.1 times 100%. So, calculate what is the value.
0.2433.
Okay. So, how about the weight? So, this is 3.2 over 17.7. So, what is the value?
0.18089.
0. Correct. Or 18.08. So, ano yung sagot natin dun sa question na alin yung mas varied?
Yung sa color, ma'am.
Okay, correct. So, color is more varied. So, more spread yung data. So, kung dyan, let's take for example, 30 daw yung sample cookies na uh, kinuha sa kanila. So, in terms of the variation sa color, so 24, 0.2433 times 30%. So, nasa 7 point something yon. So, 7 or 8 data po yung nagva-variate or nagde-deviate, I mean, doon sa ating dataset. So, pagdating naman dun sa weight, so we have 18.08. So, 0.18 times 30, around 5 to 6 information lang. So, mas maraming data yung nagde-deviate dun sa color compare dun po sa weight. So, yan lang po yung sa coefficient of variation. So, para ma-determine nyo ilan yung data, yung number of samples, imumultiply nyo lang doon sa value ng coefficient of variation. So, that is the estimated number of uh, data or values na nagre-reflect po na nagde-deviate siya around the mean. So, next aspect of this is the standard score or z-score. So, actually, some are not using this as part of the variability kasi ginagamit karaniwan yung standard score in higher analysis, especially if you want to determine certain probability or chances of a certain event. Locate kung saan bang part or kung pang ilan yung mga base doon sa mga previous information, pang ilan yung score mo doon sa na-collect na data. So, yun yung atin pong basehan. Pero dito, walang rule tayo, walang general rule po tayo for the interpretation of the z-score or standard score. So, the way we answer this will depend on how the information are being collected or being administered. So, there are chances kasi na yung mga scores ay may corresponding penalty. So, pag may mga penalty and the effect is pataasin yung score, so hindi maganda na ang pipiliin nyo yung mas malaking value. Kasi pag penalty siya, ibig sabihin nun, mas maraming error ka or hindi ka efficient at effective doon sa certain field na yun. So, pag in terms naman yan sa mga performances or kunwari sa grades, so kung ang aspeto, kung aspeto po ng pagtingin natin dyan ay doon sa pananaw na 1 to 100 or 100 yung maximum score. So, ibig sabihin nun, dapat mas pipiliin mo yung mas mataas na value kasi nag-i-imply siya ng mas mataas na score. So, again, you have to really understand the context of how the values are being collected or administered. So, the way we compute for the standard score is you have first to identify the raw score or a certain actual score. So, kumbaga, sinabi natin na grade siya. So, ano kaya yung grade ni Jenny doon sa statistics midterm examination? Tapos, i-compare ko siya doon naman sa measurement nung general na klase. So, lahat ng nagte-take ng stat ngayon, tinuos kung ano yung mga score, kinompute yung average at saka standard deviation, yun yung magiging basis. So, titingnan kung yung score ba ni Jenny ay above doon sa mean grade ng buong klase na nag-take ng stat o below sa doon sa grade nung kabuuan ng klase. So, pag negative, below yung implication. No? Pag positive yung nakuha yung value, above yun. Pag ang naging score nyo po dito ay 0, so exactly the same lang yung score mo dun sa average na compute. So similar rin lang po yung values natin kung yan man ay ayan po. So kung yan man ay population or sample yung magiging basehan. So for example, Robert got a grade of 75% in Stat 101 and a grade of 90% in Econ 11. So the mean grade in Stat 101 is 70% and the standard deviation is 10%. Whereas in Econ 11, the mean grade is 80% and the standard deviation is 20%. So relative to other student, where did he perform better? So simplify muna natin yung mga given po. So identify natin kung ano yung grade niya dun sa dalawang course. So again, yung raw score, yun yung value ng x. So for stat, ang na-generate na score ni Robert ay 75. Ang mean grade sa stat ay 70. So, ang kanyang standard deviation ay 10. So, ang raw score for Econ ay 90. Ang mean grade ay 80 at ang standard deviation ay 20. So, to compute for the C-score, ang value po or ang formula magiging raw score minus the mean divided by SD. So, kung i-consider muna natin yung grade niya sa stat, so that is 75 minus 70 over 10. So, we have 5 over 10. So, ang value ng Z ay 0.5. So, kung yung aspeto naman ay sa economics, so that is 90 minus 80 over 20. So 90 minus 80 is 10 divided by 20. So we have 0.5. So relative to other students, where did Robert perform better? So saan daw mas maganda yung performance ni Robert?
Same lang po, ma'am.
Okay. So exact. So ang magiging conclusion nyo dito is relative to other students, the performance of Robert in statistics and economics is just the same. So, what if sinabi nung teacher sa stat ay hindi pala 70 yung mean? Dapat pala yun ay 65. So, meron kayang pagbabago? So, try natin na i-check. So, now we have 75 minus the new mean, which is 65. So, that is 10 over 10. So, ang z-score na natin for stat is 1. So, ngayon, kung ganyan yung value sa stat ay 1, sa econ ay 0.5, saan mas nag-perform na maganda si Robert relative to other students? Okay. Sa statistics na. So, paano kung ganito yung aspeto? So, kunwari, merong mga aplikante, merong isang aplikante na pinag-test sa tatlong department. Kasi nangangailangan, kunwari, yung tatlong department na yun. So, para mag-gauge nila, saan ba best na position pwede ilagay yung applicant. So, ngayon, ang kanyang position na ina-applyan is clerical. So, kailangan yung kanyang typing skill ay kumbaga maganda. So, in terms of the speed and the accuracy in terms of typing ay okay naman. So, ang administration nung kanilang test is this. So, tutuusin kung gaano katagal niya natapos yung certain examination in terms of typing. So, titingnan yung bilis niya. Tapos, madadagdagan yung oras niya kada magkakamali siya ng pagtatype. So, saan kaya natin siya dapat ilagay? So, kunwari, ang accounting, lagay natin, this is accounting research at saka stat. Tapos, yung value ng z is negative 1.15, negative 1.50, at saka po ay positive 1.5. So, yung aspeto uli ng pagkuha, ha? So, tiningnan kung gaano kabilis. Tapos, madadagdagan yung time niya kada magkakamali siya ng pagtatype. Ayan. So, saan dapat siya ilagay? Sa accounting department, research department, or statistics department? So, di ba pag typing speed, ibig sabihin, mas mababang oras, mas mabilis ka mag-type, right?
Accounting, ma'am?
Sa accounting po. Accounting.
Sa accounting ba? So, pwede ba nating maging option yung stat? Positive 1.5. So, ito i-exclude na natin to, ha. Kasi kung positive yan, ibig sabihin, pwedeng mabagal siya, pwedeng marami siyang error, or pwedeng parehas. So, hindi siya effective, hindi siya efficient doon sa field na yon. So, dito, between negative 1.15 and negative 1.5, alin yung mas mababang value?
Accounting.
Accounting ba? So, lagay tayo ng number line. Ito'y 0. So, pagpakanan, 1 and 2. Pagpakaliwa, negative 1, negative 2. So, habang lumalayo ka sa 0, lumiliit yung value.
Yung research, ma'am.
Okay po. So, dun sa ilalagay sa research. Kasi dun sa nakakuha ng mas maliit na score. So, dito, dahil penalty yung nagiging implication nung pagkakamali nila. So, once na umi-increase yung score mo, tumataas yung error na nagagawa mo. So, sa research department po, ilalagay. So, di ba kung mapapansin mo, parang taliwas sa kanina, yung mas malaking value, dito naman yung pinakamaliit na value. So, nakadepende kasi nga, ang standard score doon sa context, ano yung kailangan mong ma-determine talaga. So, meron kayong question po with the coefficient of variation and standard score? Parang wala naman. So, let's proceed po with the variations naman of a group data. So, we're just going to focus with the standard deviation and the variance of that information po. So, for the variance of a group data, the formula will be n times sum of fi squared minus the sum of fi quantity squared divided by n times n minus 1. So, yung value po ng n ay number of observations, yung value ng fi ay frequency, yung value ng xi po ay class mark. So, para naman ma-determine natin ang standard deviation, so that is square root of n sum of fixi squared minus sum of fixi quantity squared all over n times n minus 1. Or just the square root of the variance. So, yung first formula, gagamitin nyo lang if wala tayong known information for the variance and the aspect are only focused with the standard deviation. But, kung may variance na kayo na data, kailangan nyo na lang kunin yung square root ng value na yun para makuha nyo yung standard deviation. So, for our illustration, compute for the variance and standard deviation of the following data. So we have your certain ages from 15 to 39 and the corresponding frequency or total frequency natin ay 50. So pag ganyan lang, target nyo lang naman is to know the variance and standard deviation. You don't have again to complete the frequency distribution table. So dito lang po kayo magfo-focus. So class limit, class frequency, at saka po class mark. So hindi nyo na kailangan computein yung mga boundaries kasi hindi naman siya kailangan. So, for the solution po of this aspect or example, I mean, so for a while. Tanggalin ko muna itong mga batch. So, ito yung class mark, ito yung, class limit, class frequency. So, paano nga uli natin kinukuha yung class mark? Can anyone still remember po?
Upper class limit plus lower class limit divide 2 po.
Okay, that is correct. So, add natin yung 15 at saka yung 18. Then, i-divide natin sila by, so this is 15 plus 18 is 33 divided by 2. So, we have 16.5. So, all three out po hanggang dun sa last class natin. So, yung 35 to 38. So, that is 73 divided by 2. So, we have 36.5. So, yung susunod na po na value natin, so kung babalikan nyo yung ating formula for the variance, ang kailangan lang naman natin na aspect ay product ng frequency at class mark at saka po product ng square, product ng frequency at saka square ng class mark. Kaya po, yung ating nasa Excel, so yung fx po, tsaka fx squared. So, yung fx squared, yan po yung frequency times the square of the class mark. So, we have here 4 times 16.5. So, that is 66. And so on. So, we have 8 times 20.5, 164. 14 times 24.5 is 343. 9 times 28.5 is 256.5. 8 times 32.5 is 260. 7 times 36.5 is 255.5. So, yung susunod po naman na column will be frequency times class mark times the class mark again. So, kasi naka-x squared tayo. So, that is 1,089. Then, for 8 times 20.5 squared is 3,362 and so on until you reach the last value po. So, that is 7 times 36.5 squared is 9,325.75. So, after po niyan, kunin natin yung sum for the column of fx and fx squared. So, we have 1,345 for fx and fx squared. So, that is 37,940.5. So, pagkatapos niyan, pwede na, yung 50 doon ha, yun yung total number of observation na meron tayo. After niyan po, we can determine na the standard deviation. So, for our solution, and so the formula for variance That is S sub G squared is equivalent to N sum of Fi xi squared minus sum of Fi xi quantity squared over N times N minus 1. So, yung value ng N natin ay 50. Ano yung value ng sum of Fi xi squared?
37,940.5.
Okay. Minus yung sum ng Fx.
1,345.
Okay. So, 1,345 squared divided by 50 times 50. This is minus po, ha? So, minus 1. So, multiply nyo muna 50 times 37,940. 0.5. So, we have 1,897,025 minus yung pong value na 1,345 squared. So that is 1,809,025 divided by 50. So 50 minus 1 is 49. So simplifying 1,897,025 minus 1,809,025 po ito. Sorry. This is 1,345 times 1,345. So that is 88,000. So divided by 50 times 49. So we have 2,450. Pag dinivide natin si 88,000 by 245. So the resulting outcome would be 35.91836735. So yan po yung magiging value natin. So variance na po ito. Or we can approximate this by 35.92. So yung standard deviation, para naman makuha nyo yun, huwag nyo pong gagamitin yung ni-round off nyo na value. So for the standard deviation, ito pong may mahabang mga decimal value. Yun yung gagamitin po natin. We have S sub G is equivalent to square root of 35.91836735. So ano po yung value niya? So we have approximately 5.99. So standard deviation, and this is the variance. So, ganun lang yung gagawin. So clear po, nasundan naman yung variance standard deviation po ng group data. Nasundan po.
Yes po.
Thank you. So, yun lang po ang sa measures of variation natin. So, yung next aspect po naman natin is different context na. So, hindi na to about the descriptive measurement. So, this is a preliminary concept about probabilities po. So, we have the fundamental concept of counting principle. So, yung ginagawa po natin with the fundamental concept of counting principle po is basically to check ano ba yung mga bilang. So, ano yung total value po ng mga possibilities na pwede nating ma-create in the aspect of generating certain combinations or certain arrangement. So, ang example nito, yung typical na ginagamit sa is sa mga lotteries. So, kunwari, gusto mong alamin kung ilan lahat ng possible combination na pwede mong tayaan sa loto. So, counting techniques yung i-apply mo dyan. Kung meron kang 5 t-shirt at 2 set ng pantalon, sa ilang pamamaraan mo kaya sila pwedeng i-mix and match. Kaya naman gusto mong alamin ang bilang ng mga numbers na nag-end sa 0 from the range of, let's say, 100 to 10,000. So, pwede mong ma-identify yun by the means of accounting. So, tandaan lang natin dito, ang ginagawa po natin is we just have to assume if this certain scenario will happen, ano kaya yung mga possible outcomes na i-consider natin. So, the first rule that we have here is the multiplication rule. So, it says that you assume that an arrangement can be broken down into 2 different ways. So, if the first method or way can be performed in M ways and the other method or way can be performed in N ways, then the arrangement can be performed in M times N ways. So, ang kailangan mo lang tingnan is the number of objects or the number of possible result kung yan ay sa experimentation natin kinagawa. So, consider muna natin itong first example. So, suppose you have 3 hats, A, B, and C, and 2 coats, 1 and 2 in your closet. So, assuming that you feel comfortable with wearing any hat with any coat, so how many different choices of hat and coat combinations do you have? Then list all combinations. So, unahin muna natin kung paano natin ma-identify yung possible combinations po. So, we can use the concept of tree diagram. So this is a visual representation po of the counting principle. So ang gagawin lang natin dyan is to identify yung portions or yung mga objects under consideration. So we have hats and coats. So yung hats po, nilabel natin as A, B, and C. So after nyan, assume natin, kunwari gusto mo or prefer nung individual na gamitin yung hat A. So, ilang posibleng pamamaraan natin i-pair yung hat A dun sa coats. So, yung coats po, 2 lang yung pwede nating pipilian. So, either yung hat A at coat 1 o hat A at coat 2. So, kung ayaw mo naman nung combinations nung hat A na yan, so try mo yung hat B. So, ganun din. So, either 1 or 2, and yung C, either 1 or 2. So, pag isusulat na po natin yung mga outcomes na yan, we just have to combine the elements po. Yan. So, we have now A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, and C2. So, yan na po yung mga value. So, in totality pala, kung titingnan natin doon sa ating listahan, ilang pamamaraan pwede tayong mag-combine ng 3 set of hats at saka po ng coats. That is equivalent to 6 possible combinations. So, paano man po i-apply yung multiplication rule? So, maglagay lang tayo ng line dyan that will represent po yung objects na chine-check natin or kino-consider natin. So, gagawin mo lang po is to identify the number of objects. So, number of hats, 3 multiplied by the number of coats, that is 2. So, we have 6. So, clear po ba tayo dun sa application ng tree diagram, paano sinusulat, at saka multiplication rule?
Yes po.
Opo, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes po.
So, Kunwari ganito naman yung ating event. Meron tayong 5 different toppings ng pizza. At saka 3 types of crust. So, identify lang natin to as A, B, C, D, and E. Tapos, ito naman po ay 1, 2, and 3. So, kung 3 diagram yung i-apply natin, so A, B, C, D, E. So, 5. Then, ngayon, i-branch out niyo siya. I-prepare niyo siya dun sa 3 form or types of crust. So, A1, A2, A3. So, pwede siyang maging B1, B2, B3. So, ganun din po for C. C1, C2, C3. Yung D, D1, D2, D3. At yung E ay 1, 2, and 3 din. So, in totality, kung application na yan ng multiplication rule, so 5 times 3 is equivalent to 15. So, pag binilang nyo din yan, so 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 din po yung magiging result. So, kaya lang natin pinakikita yung 3 diagram just in case po na kaya namang ma-identify yung mga possible combinations. So, we can list down or enumerate those combinations po. Pero, kung marami na talaga yan, we have an option po to just focus on the application of certain rules or various techniques po na matututunan natin sa counting principles. So, paano pag ganito yung experiment? You have to toss a coin 3 times. So, how many possible outcomes are considered po? Toss a single coin. So, how many possible outcomes?
Six po.
6 ba? So, check natin. So, gamitin natin yung 3 diagram ulit. So, first, second, and third toss. So, pag nag-toss tayo ng coin, isang beses lang, ano yung possible result?
Head tsaka tails.
Okay. Sa second toss, nabago ba yung possible result natin?
Hindi po.
Hindi po.
Hindi po.
Okay po. So, kahit ilang beses natin ulitin yung experiment sa pagtotos ng coin, yung possible result ay head or tail lang. So, dahil possibilities yung ating tinitingnan dito, so let's assume na dun sa first experiment mo, ang nag-appear or nag-occur ay head. Sabi mo, ang option pa rin sa second toss ay either head or tail. So, kung tail yung nag-appear sa first toss, so either head or tail pa rin yan. So, kung ang naging aspeto na, dun sa first and second toss mo, parehas na head, so hindi naman nagbabago yung possible outcome. So, pwedeng magkaroon ka ng option such as head or tail, and so on. Ayan po. So, base sa ating 3 diagram, ilan yung possible result natin?
Eight po.
Okay. Thank you. So, we have 8 possible outcomes. So, pag ganito po na kailangan nyo i-repeat yung experiment po. So, hindi natin i-multiply yung number of repetitions. So, ang gagawin mo is to really identify. So, yan, kunwari, di ba? May first, second, third try tayo. So, sa first try, sabi nyo head or tail lang. So, dalawa lang yung outcome nun. Sa second try, multiply mo na siya. So, dalawa rin. Kung dito lang tayo matatapos, so 2 times 2, 4. So, pag binilang nga natin to 1, 2, 3, 4. So, yung third try natin, 2 possible result pa rin, head or tail. So, 2 times 2 times 2 is equivalent to 8. So, ganito yung gagawin na pag repetition of experiment. So, still, this is under multiplication. Clear?
Yes po.
So, you have to toss 2 dice once. So, how many possible outcomes po or combinations? So, tossing 2 dice once. So, ilan yung possible result nito?
36 po.
Okay. So, paano nakuha yung Jericho?
6 times 6 po.
Correct. So, yung regular die na ginagamit natin, may 6 faces yun. So, ito yung, kunwari, yung first die, second die. So, 6 times 6 ay 36. Clear na tayo.
Yes po.
Okay. So, this one. You want to design a 30-minute workout for the first 15 minutes. So, you will choose an aerobic exercise from running, kicking, skipping, or circuit training. Then, for the second 15 minutes, you will work on strength and or balance, choosing from high training, TRX, BOSU, resistance bands, or your core routine. So, how many such workouts are possible? Identify muna natin. Yung 30-minute workout na routine na kailangan mong i-design, hinati mo sa dalawa. So, kinategorize mo in the aspect of aerobic exercise at saka yung strength or balance exercise. So, sa aerobic exercise, ilan yung options mo? Ilang form of exercise yung pwede mong pagpilian?
4 po.
Okay. Thank you. Multiplied by the number of choices for the strength or balance exercise. So, anong value na? We have?
4 po.
So, 4 ba? Weight training, TRX, BOSU, resistance bands, core routine. So, 5 na value. So, ang sagot natin dito is we have 20 possible workout routine. So, yun magiging basis. Ito naman. So, how many license plates consisting of 2 letters followed by 4 digits are possible? So, ilang object yung under consideration dito? Go on, Jericho.
Wala po ata. Ay, kasi
So, yung license plate daw, it consists of 2 letters and 4 digits. So, ilang elements yung kino-consider natin in totality?
8 po.
8 ba? Ganito
6.
muna. 6. Correct po, Jerry. 6. So, 2 letters, 4 na numbers. So, after nyan, etong first letter, lagay lang natin. Second letter, third letter, first number, second number, third number, and fourth number. So, dito, check muna natin. Pwede ba sa mga license plate na maulit yung mga letters? Kunwari, A, tapos 1, 2, 3, 4. Pwede ba yung ganito? So, di ba,
Opo.
okay. Thank you. So, may mga possibilities naman na nauulit yung mga letters, nauulit din yung mga numbers. So, dito wala tayong restriction. So, pwedeng maulit yung mga letters, pwede rin maulit yung mga numbers. So, take note lang, ang i-consider lang natin dito is the letters in the English alphabet. So, ilan ba yung letters sa English alphabet?
26.
Okay. So, ibig sabihin nun, for the first position of the letter, you have 26 options po. So, pwedeng maulit yung letter. For example, ginamit na natin yung A, pwede mo pa siyang gamitin sa second letter. Ilan yung options mo for the second position?
26 din po.
Okay, thank you. So, how about dun sa first number? How many options do we have?
10 po.
Okay, correct. That is 10. Nagbago ba yung number of options natin for the second, third, and fourth position?
Hindi po.
So, tigte 10 pa rin yan. So, after nyo ma-identify yung mga elements or options na pwede nating i-consider dyan, so you just have to evaluate the operation. So, multiply all values po. So, ano pong sagot? Six, 676 lang ba siya? So, ito ay 676 tapos 10,000. So, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So, we have 6,760,000 license plate po. So, ganyan siya karami. So, try nating lagyan to ng restriction. So, same concept, same example. Consider lang natin na may restrictions sila. So, let's say na yung license plate ay hindi pwedeng magkaroon ng repetition of letters and numbers. So, na repetition of letters and numbers. So, ano kaya yung magiging value? So, ganun pa rin. So, the license plate consists of 2 letters followed by 4 digits, but no repetition of letters and numbers. So, ilan yung option natin for the first position of the letter?
26.
26.
Hindi pwedeng maulit. Ilan na lang sa second position?
25.
So, for the first number,
10.
second number,
9. 8. 7.
Okay. So, multiply the value.
Three million 276,000.
Okay. So, we have 3,276,000. Off ko na itong presentation. So, how about the case if kunwari yung kino-consider natin is this. So, how many three-digit number can be formed from 0, 1, 2, 6, and 7? So, consider natin. So, create lang tayo ng 3 lines kasi 3-digit number yung kailangan nating ma-create. So, ngayon, dun sa first position, so, 'di ba usually left to right, or sorry, dito muna tayo. So, ones, tens, and hundreds place yung meron. So, identify muna natin yung sa hundreds place since may value tayo ng 0. So, ilan kaya yung possible number from 0, 1, 2, 6, 7 yung mailagay ko sa hundreds place? Ilan yung possible option natin?
Apat po.
Okay po. So, 4 lang. Kasi hindi natin pwedeng i-consider yung 0 dun sa hundreds place. So, your option here is just 1, 2, 6, and 7. Then, after that, you go back dun sa ones digit. So, syempre, 3-digit number, pwede namang nauulit yung mga numbers na yan. So, ilan yung option mo dun sa last position?
5 po.
Okay. So, pwede mo nang i-include yung 0 doon. So, 0, 1, 2, 6, and 7 na yung options mo. Sa gitna, sa 10th digit, ilan yung options natin?
5 din po.
Okay po. So, paki-multiply, ilan possible 3-digit number yung ma-create natin?
100 mo.
Okay. So, we have 100 possible 3-digit number. So, ngayon, lagyan natin ng restrictions. So, the condition is that no repetitions. So, ilan na lang kung hindi pwedeng may nauulit. So, ito pa rin, 4 pa rin dun sa unahan, sa hundreds place. So, ginamit mo na yung isa, ilan yung option mo dun sa kabila? So, ones digit.
Four po.
Okay. So, 4 na lang. So, kasi, kunwari, ginamit natin yung 7 dun sa ones digit. So, ang option mo na lang natira, 1, 2, 6. So, sa ones digit, pwede naman yung 0. Kaya 4 na value. So, dun sa gitna, dalawa ng number yung na-specify mo. Ilan na lang yung option? Dun sa middle.
Tatlo po.
So, that is just 3. So, paki-multiply po.
48 man.
Okay. 48 ways. So, add numbers. So, how many of the 3-digit numbers are odd numbers? So, paano ba natin masasabi na odd numbers? Dapat saang mga numbers siya nag-e-end? So, pag odd numbers, di ba, dapat nag-e-end siya sa 1, sa 3, sa 5, sa 7, sa 9. So, dun sa ating options po, we have 0, 1, 2, 6, 7. Ilan yung odd numbers dyan?
Dalawa po.
Dalawa po.
So, yung dalawang value na yun, dun nyo muna ilalagay sa ones digit. So, parang sa number problem pala, in terms of the multiplication, okay, ang magiging basis nyo ay kung saan importante na ma-follow muna yung condition. So, kanina, 3-digit number, may 0 ka, so uunahin mo yung nasa hundreds digit kasi bawal yung 0 sa position niya. So, dito naman, odd number, yung i-consider mo, so para ma-consider na odd number, dapat nag-e-end siya sa mga odd numbers din. So, we have 2. So, walang restriction to ha. Ang kanyang condition lang odd numbers. So, ilan na yung option natin for the second digit?
Dalawa pa rin po.
So, hindi ko pa rin ba pwedeng gamitin yung 0, 1, 6 doon sa middle value? Kasi, di ba, kunwari, pwede naman akong mag-create dito ng 1, 2, 7. Ito ay odd number. So, ilan yung option sa middle? Sa tens digit. So, ito pa rin.
Bale, 5 po.
Okay. So, 5 pa din. Doon sa hundreds digit.
5 din po.
Okay. So, in total, ilan yung odd numbers natin?
50, ma'am.
5.
So, 25 times 2. So, that is 50. So, yung even numbers, ganun din. 50 din. Yun. So, pag even numbers, iba nga lang yung way of how you solve that, ha? So, consider natin. Yung ating value ay 0, 1, 2, 6, 7. So, dito, meron tayong tatlong even number. Right? Kaso lang, ang dapat na way mo dyan, iba kasi yung aspect ng 0. So, in reality, ang 0 can't be classified as even or odd. Pero, sa atin, ginagamit natin siya as an even number. So, ngayon, ang gagawin natin is i-identify muna yung mga numbers that ends with 2 and 6. After that, i-identify mo yung mga numbers that end with 0. Then, you add those value. Okay. So, we have here. So, numbers ending with 2 and 6. So, dun muna kayo sa ones digit. Magko-concentrate. So, dalawa na value. So, we have after nyan, 5 na uli yung magiging options natin. So, pwede nating i-consider yung 0. So, we have there 50. So, numbers ending in 0. So, nagtatapos sa value ng 0. So, isa na lang yung i-consider mo doon. Tapos, may 5 option ka ulit. So, we have here plus. So, this is 50 plus 25. So, 75 yung values natin. Ayun. So, ganun. Pag even numbers, considering 0 po dun sa mga values. Sorry. This one is 4. Ito din pa. So, may 0 nga pala da. Pati ito ha. Sorry, may mistake. This is 4. So, ito ay magiging 40 lang. Because of 0. So, this one is 4. So, 40. Tapos, ito ay 4 din. Plus 20. So, we have 60. So, 40 plus 60 yung value. So, that is the even numbers. Ayan. So, question po with counting techniques. And so, kung wala naman, kindly have an advanced study po about the concept of permutations and combinations. So, marami naman kayo makukuha ng mga videos na patungkol do para lang ma-familiarize po kayo kung paano siya ginagamit. So, another strategy or techniques po yun of how can we determine the number of possibilities po. Yan po. So, kung walang question, pa-open na ng camera niyo. So, on my cue, 1, 2, 3. So, isa pa.